question. Almost, let's say, half question we have discussed, isn't it? Because it will remain the same. This context, this will remain the same. Let's go. Even if, let's say, it will remain the same, but you will start molding your answer. This is how we say that. Your answer should be as per the question, the way it has been structured, its meaning, and that should start from the first line itself. You start molding the content in that color. This. So, what we start saying in this? So we start, since good governance, it is talking evaluation of, it has become what question says, the new contemporary norm for evaluation of accountability of governments. This is how it says. So we can start that good governance, right? Since good governance is based on a set of ideals, right, which have become basis for evaluating the performance of any government in today's context. For instance, we can say corruption perception index. So performance on corruption perception index becomes basis to understand that whether corruption in a particular government has reduced or not. Right. Or performance on various indices indicate that how better governance is, right, in a particular country. So the context means we start introducing by, let's say, relating the way question is asking. The good governance is considered as a value-laden concept. That way you can start, or you can say good governance has become a new let's say that ideal of governance, which generally evaluates the accountability of the government. For instance, government performance on corruption perception index. So when you write such introductions, it shows your first ability to write introduction as per the question, and it also shows that you understand the demand of question. Right. Although आजकल के time में 99% people do not believe in writing those introduction etc. Just they believe in writing answers. कुछ आजकल का लिखने का तरीका बिल्कुल अलग हो गया है. People they just start writing, let's say they don't write introduction, इसलिए कि GS में कल्चर नहीं introduction लिखने का. पहले होता था, GS का कल्चर भी डिक्लाइन हो गया, तो ऑप्शनल का भी कल्चर डिक्लाइन हो गया. This, but better writing is, this is how you need to learn how to introduce anything. This can be. Then basics already, how governance came, context, etc. You can talk about the good governance, let's say that context. Context you can talk, characteristics you can talk. Now, this question is talking about accountability. So you have to link now, next main aspect is this. The main demand is good governance and accountability. This. So we have tried to link with accountability. Evaluation of accountability of governments. So it can bring, let's say, since characteristics written, you can talk that it brings both quantitative, qualitative performance. So qualitative performance can be related to outcome, transparency, equity. It can be related to efficiency, equality, Right. Or even if you do not, let's say, classify this quantitative, qualitative, so you can directly start writing that ki how, let's say, accountability. Accountability is considered as answerability of the government. That also you can write, although we have not, at least that much minimal level knowledge you can have. You can say accountability is related to answerability of the any government. That answerability can be linked to exercise of power. That can be linked to performance. Right. So answerability of the government is linked to its power or its performance. Right. Whether power has been misused, whether there is misuse of power. The misuse of power, or how power has been, let's say, utilized. The misuse of power will result into, let's say, corruption. That's why there is index called corruption perception index, we can say that. Right. Performance of the government, human development index, that can be considered. So human development index, gender gap index, ease of doing business index. So that way you can link. So easy way to link with good governance accountability is various types of indices. This how government. So, and you can give positive examples and negative examples. Accountability. The accountability, you can say positive side. You can link with RTI. You can link with RTI, link with citizen charter, link with social audit, how these practices have been given more and more emphasis. Right. Or let's see some facts, so that can be mentioned. And negative, so on negative side you can write about related to these indices, how there is improvement or there is lack of improvement. So if in any society there is improvement in quality of governance, it is linked to good governance. In fact, good governance was also introduced to promote corruption-free governance. Right. Good governance was promoted to promote corruption-free governance because during 1990s when World Bank was bringing its report, so in that it was highlighted that how a state-led model of governance became highly corrupt, and due to corruption the benefits did not reach to people. The benefits of, let's say, programs, schemes, policy did not reach to people. That's why there was more and more emphasis on transparency. We can find that how, let's say, some of the good initiatives by the present government, so we can say some good initiative by the present government. One is called DBT. So DBT has resulted into not only, let's say, decrease in corruption, but DBT has also, let's say, resulted into savings. Now under DBT, government is able to save 2.7 lakh crore. By introduction of that. So it is an example of clean governance, good governance, this, and that enhances its accountability. But then let's say there are various, let's say, other such, let's say, parameters on which we have not improved much. Even global hunger index, you can say that. Recently published the global hunger index, or even an corruption perception index, or still, let's say, corruption, there have been reports of corruption. Right. In fact, you can see in any other country, let's say. So other countries also have suffered. In fact, the reports say that most of the countries in the world, so there are some trends in most of the countries. The trends are that on the one hand there is talk for good governance, but on the other hand there is increase in arbitrary exercise of powers. Arbitrary exercise of power. Right. This concentration of power, so concentration of power and level of increase in corruption, you can say that. All across the society, it has been found that how they are struggling to deliver good governance. Right. Since we are not writing only for Indian administration, so that's why you have to also talk. Like say when we see corruption perception index, how Asian countries suffer. Largely developed countries have the better, let's say, their record, but even in their countries, you know that there is a challenge of delivering, let's say, corruption-free governance. That's why when sustainable development, let's say, that goal has been linked, so accountability of the governments can be evaluated in their country also. And according to recent report, the European countries will not be able to meet the emission norms. They will not be able to achieve the emission standards. So somehow, since good governance is linked to sustainable development, so this is how it is also, let's say, indicating their lack of accountability to, let's say, deliver the commitment related to sustainable development. This. So that will also be linked so that we do not make, although आजकल culture इतना dominant हो गया है इंडियन एस्पेक्ट लिखने का कि हम लोगों का वट एवर वी आर टेलिंग इसका लेजिटिमेसी आई फील कि इट्स लेजिटिमेसी हैज गॉन डाउन बेसिकली वी फील हाईली डीलेजिटिमाइज्ड बाय ऑल दीस थिंग्स कोई लिखेगा नहीं पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के बारे में ऑल पीपल विल राइट अबाउट इंडियन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ओनली दिस बट you should know that they have asked question already related to good governance and sustainable development. Right. Already question, we have been expecting again a question on that. It means what we are doing, lots of efforts we are applying to prove how accountability it has become. Our focus main focus has been on proving it by one example, by another example, or a good example. This you should know that. So that's why good examples are important, let's say that, to prove a point in this. And that is how we can say that. That demands, let's say that, yes, better understanding knowledge. This we can say this. Then since it is about discuss, let's say that, question talks about discuss. This is how. It is saying ki discuss, let's say. So then we can write a bit, discuss demands a bit of weaknesses also, you should know that. This. So you should write a bit of weaknesses and then you can write conclusion. Right. This. So even if it has become, let's say, basis to evaluate accountability, but this is how often it is criticized that good governance is being propagated more for ease of doing business rather than for ease of living of life of people. This because good governance in last 3 decades has improved more in, let's say that, business areas, less in, let's say, people areas. Right. Like say ease of doing business, our index has improved to 63 rank, but our human development index has remained stagnant. This. So that we can, let's say that we can consider. It seems more on paper, less in, let's say, practice. This. So that can be. And it is more of, let's say that, Western, based on Western liberal values, overlooking ecological aspect of administration. This. So that can be a bit of criticism, although we can say that the way we were saying that, how good governance, even being, let's say that, good governance can be considered Western oriented, but it is relevant for developing countries because they need to get democratized. They need to get democratized, we need to promote transparency, and we also need to promote more actionable accountability. Right. Actionable accountability, one day it will come when we'll talk later on, but this is how we are talking. Not accountability, but actionable accountability. Actionable accountability means whatever the tools good governance has introduced. So let's say RTI, Citizen Charter, corruptions may be, let's say, exposed, but actions are lacking. Right. So we need to bring greater actionable accountability to promote good governance. That's why, let's say, greater emphasis by the present government through digitalization and other reforms to bring, let's say, good governance also in practice, not only in paper. And that way you should try to conclude. much.